Live and direct from Consumerism, Liechtenstein, it's TEDxVaduz 2013. Radically open.
So this title, There Ain't No Such Thing as a Sustainable Product, obviously is stolen from a very famous sentence by Robert Heinlein, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Because we are told every day that we can get things for free, but we don't always believe it. If you look at this smartphone and someone tells you this is for free, you know why it is for free and it's not for free. And sometimes it might even be dangerous. If someone offers you a free lunch, it might even be dangerous to accept it. So what I am trying to say, that it's the same thing with sustainable products. There is no sustainable product. And there is no sustainable technology, and there is no sustainable service. Maybe lifestyles can be sustainable, but products cannot. This is quite banal, but still it's my opinion, which I want to present to you today. Let's talk first a little bit about sustainability. This is an old expression. It was created by forestry people 300 years ago, but it became really modern in 1992. When at the UN Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro, politics and people from economy wanted to give answers to questions that people had. Because people realized that the climate was really endangered, that the forests were not doing good, there was Chernobyl, there was the ozone hole and a lot of problems, and people wanted answers. And some people thought that maybe it's true that there are limits to growth, because this was a book which was published 20 years earlier, in 1972, by Dennis Meadows and his friends from the Club of Rome. Actually, this is not a surprise that there are limits to exponential growth. After the Second World War, we thought that economy had to grow and grow and grow in an exponential way. But this is not natural. And this is easy to understand. Trees never grow eternally. They grow to a certain extent and then they die, and there's always a balance. The only thing in nature that does grow exponentially are cancer ulcers. Cancer cells, they grow tremendously and almost never ending. So this is not probably the idea of a good working economy. So it would be easy to understand, and this man, Mr. Boulding, was an economist himself. He said, anyone who believes exponential growth can go on forever in a finite world is either a madman or an economist. And it's true, it's the economists who are trying to tell us all the time that the economy has to grow, otherwise everything is collapsing. This is like brainwashing. We have heard this our lives long. We think that the economy has to grow. It's so bad. The idea that the economy could not grow is so bad that they do not even dare to pronounce the word shrinking. Like when the economy is going down, they don't say economy is shrinking. They say we have a negative growth, because they think pronouncing pronouncing shrinking economy might cause them blisters in their mouths. So they say negative growth. We are that far, we don't want to believe it, because we think the party has to go on forever. And at this point, I would like to introduce you my favorite waste bin. The smokers among you will immediately discover that this is a Parisian waste bin, because these Parisian people, they have a lot of fun all the time. They can not only smoke, but they also listen to music, and they can dance like crazy, and they can go to vacation. Like, they can do all these kind of things which non-smokers just can't do. So it really makes sense to smoke. At the same time, they tell you politically correct in 3 languages that smoking is killing you. And this is a little bit the same thing with the limits to growth. Actually, somewhere at the bottom of the waste bin, we would know that it's going to kill us. It's not only killing the planet, by the way. It's killing us with burnouts, depressions, heart diseases, stomach ulcers, whatever. But we don't want to see it. So we created this kind of sustainability waste bin in order to have a lot of fun and to think we can go on like this forever. At this point, it's maybe important to say that I'm not against the concept of sustainability, but I think we should use it in order to invent solutions for the future and not to lie to each other and to ourselves. And that's what we are doing with this strange idea of coming back now to sustainable products. So, we realize somehow that we have to change something, but we do not want to touch growth. Growth has to go on exponentially forever. So we invent all these sustainable products like earth-friendly fashion or like all those fancy cars where we have to drive around in circles all day long in order to go on with economical growth but sustainable. Or then we travel as much as we can but sustainable, please. Or if the product is not sustainable, at least it's packed sustainably in ocean plastic and so on. And if it's not sustainable, at least it's neutral. This is another concept of sustainability. If the product is not sustainable, then at least you can make it neutral. We know that we cause a lot of harm to the planet and to the climate with whatever we do. That's a bad thing on the right, but we can compensate this now. This is perfect. And the best miracle of compensation is flying compensated. Like, you don't just fly, you fly in this extremely green airplane because you think and you go climate conscious. And it works like this. Like, you go to Cuba because you think the beaches in Europe are not good in winter anyway, and walking around here is boring, and so you fly to Cuba. But you pay 148 Swiss francs to atmosphere, and then your emissions are compensated immediately because they built a photovoltaic power plant in Mali. And through this, with these 148 francs, the emissions that come out of the airplane are directly neutralized, and it's no harm to the climate. And this is really fantastic. So that's why we need to be more sustainable, because we have to invent all those fantastic ideas how to go on growing, economically growing, exponentially growing, and not do any harm to the environment. It's kind of tricky, but it's possible, and the solution is green growth. You know, we grow green now. We do like Roosevelt in the 30s. We have a Green New Deal. We change everything, and the real miracle, but really miracle, is now, and it's wonderful, is decoupling. Because up to now, economic growth was always directly linked to impact to the environment and to the use of natural resources. This is clear. The more growth you have, the more impacts to the nature and the more resources you use. We're going to change this now. Miracle looks like this. Still exponentially growing, but the economy is growing, but the environmental impacts are going down. So this is eating double and losing weight. That's fantastic. The problem is, it doesn't work. In some countries, it works a little bit. Like, there is a slight growth, economical growth, and a slight reduction of use of energy and CO2 emissions. But even there is scientific evidence that even there it's not true, because these emissions are exported. Economies can grow with more import, so that means the economy is growing a little bit in Germany, but the CO2 emissions and the waste happens in China. So it's not true, it's not possible, but we don't want to believe it. We want to believe in the party who goes on forever. I cannot explain all the reasons. I don't know all the reasons why this happens. I just can explain that it is the case that it's not working, this concept is not working. William Stanley Jevons wrote a book in 1865 called The Coal Question. And he wanted to know what had happened 100 years before when James Watt invented the steam engine. There had been steam engines before, but James Watt invented one who was 3 times as efficient than the already existing steam engines. So we think if for the same needs we have a machine that uses only 1/3 of coal, then the consumption of coal is going down by 2/3 to 1/3. That's what we would expect. That was Mr. Jevons' expectation. But what happened was exactly the opposite. If you look at the black line, this is the consumption of coal in England, and the red flash here shows us when the triple effective steam engine of Mr. Watt entered the scene. So instead of going down, the energy consumption exploded. And this is because the steam engine was a means of supplying the industry with energy very cheap and very efficiently. So everybody needed a steam engine, and what happened was the opposite. And it's still the same thing in our days. This is the example with Germany, with household equipment. In only 10 years, refrigerators, for example, or deep freezers were almost 40% more efficient, or dishwashers even more, and also washing machines. So we would expect, I mean, if we didn't know Mr. Jevons, we would expect that the energy consumption is going down. What happened, of course, surprise, surprise, it went up. Because we have more deep freezers and refrigerators, we have bigger ones. The TV, this size, needs much less energy, but who has the same size as 20 years ago? We have new things like one computer in every room at home, smartphones, and. So it's not working, it's really not working. And coming back to the idea of sustainable products, if you look at these two cars, this is something that Nico Pech, the Pope of post-growth economy in Germany, always comes up with. The two cars of his two neighbors. If I ask you which car is more sustainable, you would probably say the yellow one. It's a fancy little car, a 3-liter car. The old car, Opel Admiral, belongs to a man who normally goes wherever he goes. He doesn't go too far anymore. He goes by public transportation. 5 times a year he goes to see his old sister, who lives somewhere where there is no train station around. Whereas the young lady who owns the yellow fancy car goes to work with it 100 kilometers every day and back in the evening. So what is the meaning of a sustainable product? Same thing with this wonderful house. I live there with my wonderful patchwork family. It's very efficient. We produce more energy over the year than the house consumes. Is this sustainable? Depends on how many times I fly around the planet. When I look at the energy savings of this house compared to a so-called conventional house, what do you think, how many times could I fly to New York with this difference? Not even once. It's good enough to let the airplane crash at halfway, because this is only how far the difference will bring me. So sustainable or not, it does not depend on the product, but on the lifestyle. Sustainability from the beginning had to do with the climate. And if we think that what politicians try to tell us now, that we can limit the heating of the planet by 2 degrees by 2050, then this would mean that each of us could only cause 2 tons, maybe 2.5, 2.7 tons of CO2 or CO2 equivalent per year. If we agree that each person has the same right, maybe it would be correct to say, you know, Americans are used to cause 20 tons, and the people in Bangladesh are used to only causing 300 kilos, so let's leave it like this. But I think the answer for this thinking we can see every day in Lampedusa. This is not the solution for our problems, so we have to accept that everybody has the same right for emissions of CO2, and this means it's not very much. If you talk about 2 tons, 2.5 tons, it's easier to see how many kilos this is per day, and it's only 7 kilos per day. If you look what a decent car causes in 50 kilometers, you can see it's already more than 7. Oil heating one day is 12. Schnitzel and fries is quite a lot. The vegetarian dish is almost nothing. All in all, and this is not for each application, this is in total, we would have the right to cause 7 kilos, 6.5, 7 kilos. So that means we have to make a step back. We have to become more modest. But this is not bad news, this is good news. Because we're killing ourselves with our way of life and with running after the needs of an economy who needs to grow and grow and grow. So, and we know that this does not make us happy. If you look, I mean, we don't want to be cynical. For real poor people, more money might make them happier. But for many, many people, it's proven that they are not happier if they have more money. This is the average income of an American over the last decades. The red line going up, up, up. The yellow dots show you how happy people said they were when they were asked about their happiness. It's always the same. They earn more and more money. They work harder and harder and harder, and they are not any happier. And this is no surprise. Because when you ask people, what makes you happy, the answers are always the same. Health, partnership, family, people. Not even half of it's down here, you find money. Not even half of the people say, money makes me the happiest. So the most things that are good for us and make us happy are for free. Talking to friends, taking care of your partnership is for free. Sex is for free. So this is it's good news that we should be more modest, that we should consume less, and that we should have more fun. So these are my 3 conclusions. There is no such a thing as a sustainable product. This is good news because we have more time for the important things in life. And third suggestion, if you do smoke, please smoke Parisian because it's much more fun. Thank you.